A single push at a high school track meet ended a life, but the real battle became how a phantom video hijacked the truth.
Yeah, it's basically a terrifying blueprint of how reality can just be completely overwritten by an algorithm.
Right, before the police even finished securing the crime scene. So, welcome to today's deep dive. We are unpacking the tragic trial of teenager Carmelo Anthony.
Which happened back in April of 2025.
Exactly, at Kendo Stadium. Anthony fatally stabbed 17-year-old Austin Metaf at a track meet. And, the mission today is to look at how cold, hard courtroom evidence dismantled this massive viral public narrative about self-defense.
Right, because the internet story was completely different from the trial, and we pulled from a really diverse stack of sources for this. We have the dry, methodical trial notes, but we're contrasting those with a highly charged YouTube video.
Yeah, from the Brian Maxwell Real Politics podcast. And a quick heads up for you listening, that YouTube source contains some highly politically charged right-wing commentary.
For very aggressive claims.
Yeah, targeting Democrats and, what he calls race hustlers. So I want to be completely clear right up front. We are not here to endorse his politics.
No, not at all.
We are not taking sides. We are strictly analyzing the mechanics of how this narrative was constructed and weaponized.
We're just acting as neutral guides here. So let's establish reality before we get into the rumors. Let's look at the facts on the ground.
Okay, so it's April 2nd, 2025. You have this chaotic high school track meet at Kendo Stadium. Carmelo Anthony is sitting under a tent, but it's not his team's tent.
Right, it belongs to the opposing team, Memorial High School, which is Austin Metaf's team.
And it starts out relatively normally, right? Like he gets greeted by an acquaintance on Metaf's team, a kid named Eddie Pera.
Yeah, they knew each other.
Yeah.
But Anthony just stays sitting in the middle of their designated area. So understandably, students eventually ask him to leave.
And this is where we really need to look at the statistics, because the numbers explain the escalation. The trial notes indicate witnesses estimated Anthony was asked to leave 15 times.
Wow, 15 times.
Yeah, 15 times over a roughly 2-minute exchange.
And, 2 minutes sounds incredibly fast when you're just watching TV. But put yourself in that tent. 2 minutes of a tense, hostile standoff is an absolute eternity.
Oh, it really is.
Count out just 5 seconds of silence in a confrontation, and it feels unbearable. Now stretch that to 120 seconds. Multiple students identified Anthony as the clear aggressor here.
Because he wasn't just sitting there passively ignoring them, he was actively fueling the fire. The quotes from the sworn testimony show him deliberately daring Austin Metaf.
Yeah, what did he say exactly?
He tells him, "You will have to move me." And then he escalates it further, saying, "Touch me, you'll have to move me and find out."
And we have to analyze his physical posture during all this, too. While issuing these dares, Anthony kept his hands hidden inside his backpack.
Which changes the entire dynamic. Hiding your hands is like a universal signal for concealing a weapon.
It is. But the tragic part is the psychology of the teenagers around him. The surrounding students testified they actually thought he was bluffing.
Because teenagers posture all the time.
Exactly. They thought he was just trying to look tough in front of a crowd.
So the standoff hits its peak. Austin Metaf leans in and pushes Anthony. Just a physical push. But the instant that happens, Anthony pulls a 5-inch folding knife out of that backpack and drives it straight into Metaf's chest.
The transition from verbal posturing to lethal force happened in a fraction of a second.
It's just terrifying. Let's talk about the legal mechanics here, though, because later, Anthony claims self-defense.
Right.
But to me, it's like someone walking into your team's locker room, refusing to leave after 15 polite requests, hiding their hands, and then daring you to do something about it. They basically built a powder keg and then waited for a spark.
That is a perfect analogy.
So how does the law usually view someone who actively engineers the confrontation they later claim self-defense from?
Well, the legal concept there is the initial aggressor rule. In almost every jurisdiction, the law requires you to be an innocent party to claim self-defense.
You can't just start it.
Right. You cannot deliberately provoke an attack, refuse to de-escalate, and then use lethal force when the other person finally takes your bait. The moment you start the confrontation, your legal right to claim self-defense is either severely restricted or just entirely voided.
You can't hand someone a match and then shoot them for starting a fire. Oh, and real quick, one rumor popped up immediately on the field that we need to debunk right now. People claimed Metaf's twin brother, Hunter, was part of a group ganging up on Anthony.
Yeah, And the physical evidence and sworn testimony shattered that instantly. Multiple witnesses confirmed Hunter was completely uninvolved.
Right, he was on the opposite side of the tent.
Exactly, just staring down at his phone when the fatal strike happened.
So the facts on the ground are irrefutable, but establishing reality on a chaotic track field is completely different from proving it in a court of law. How did Anthony's defense team actually attempt to legally justify a 15-to-1 unprovoked escalation?
They tried to paint a picture of a terrified teenager cornered by an aggressive mob. The whole goal was to make Anthony look like the victim of circumstances.
But wait, stop right there. If I am sitting in the jury box, the most shocking part of this trial is that the prosecution didn't sink the defense's case. The defense's own witnesses sank it.
Oh, it is one of the most stunning courtroom collapses you will ever see. The defense team calls their own witnesses to the stand, clearly hoping to establish Anthony's fear.
Right.
But during cross-examination, the prosecutors use this classic legal mechanism. They don't just ask broad questions. They box the witness in with tiny, undeniable facts until the witness has nowhere to go.
So when a teen is called to the stand as a defense witness, they end up explicitly stating under oath, I think Carmelo was in the wrong.
Yeah, and then the prosecutor asks the ultimate question, did Carmelo Anthony provoke the confrontation? And the defense's own hand-picked witness just answers yes.
Just yes.
Just yes. And they corroborated the prosecution's entire timeline. They confirmed the 15 requests to leave.
Why on earth would a defense attorney put a witness on the stand who is going to admit their client provoked a murder?
It points to a really desperate strategy. When the facts are that overwhelmingly against you, sometimes the defense has no choice but to call anyone who was present, just hoping they can extract one shred of reasonable doubt.
But it backfired spectacularly. And it gets worse when we look at the legal standard of disproportionate force. Right after the stabbing, Anthony ran to a coach. He was crying, highly distraught, and a witness heard him say, I told him not to touch me.
Right.
The defense probably wanted to use that to show he was scared. But legally, how does a prosecutor weaponize that exact quote?
By using the doctrine of proportionality. Self-defense requires you to meet force with equal force. If someone throws a water balloon at you, you can't run them over with a truck.
Right, obviously.
So the prosecutor used Anthony's own words. I told him not to touch me to prove Anthony's motive. A simple push, a touch, does not present an imminent threat of severe bodily harm or death.
So retaliating with a knife.
Exactly. Plunging a 5-inch blade into a chest is a massive escalation of force. It is legally unjustifiable.
Imagine hiring a team to defend your life, and the very people they bring to the standpoint, the finger right back at you. The self-defense case just completely collapsed.
Completely dead in the water. Eyewitnesses agreed. The sequence of events was established. The legal standards were not met.
Which leads to the massive contradiction of this entire deep dive. If the evidence was this clear-cut, why was there a massive public outcry claiming Anthony was the real victim?
Because the internet doesn't care about sworn testimony. The internet cares about emotional resonance. While the legal system was meticulously building a timeline, the public got captivated by a phantom.
A phantom video. The viral narrative that exploded online claimed 4 Memorial High students jumped Anthony, put him in a headlock, and left him zero choice but to use the knife.
And we have to trace how a totally fabricated story gets that much traction. Our sources identify the primary pusher of this narrative as a man named Morris Dwayne Turner.
Okay, who is this guy, and why should anyone listen to him?
They shouldn't. According to the YouTube source, Turner is a registered sex offender with a 2017 felony conviction involving a 13-year-old boy. He is a highly unreliable narrator.
Wow.
Yet he somehow successfully convinced the internet that he had seen a mysterious video proving the group attack.
But if this specific video was real, wouldn't the defense have used it to vindicate their client in court?
Absolutely. A video of an unprovoked 4-on-1 gang-up would have cleared him instantly. But it never surfaced. Because Morris Dwayne Turner invented it. The video simply never existed.
But here is the terrifying power of virality. A rumor starts online and it actually bleeds into the physical world. A student witness actually initially told police that Anthony was surrounded before the stabbing.
Right, this is a psychological phenomenon known as the illusory truth effect. If you hear a false piece of information repeated enough times, your brain literally starts to process it as true.
So how did the prosecution break this witness's story on the stand?
They played the stadium surveillance footage. They tracked the specific witness's movements on the camera and proved that at the exact second the stabbing occurred, this witness was actually looking out at the field. He wasn't even looking at the tent.
Wait, really? So he couldn't possibly have seen the mob he described?
Exactly. And confronted with that footage, the witness admitted his mind could play tricks on him. He conceded the crowd only surrounded Anthony after the stabbing.
Which makes total sense. Someone gets stabbed in the chest, a massive crowd is going to rush over. The trauma combined with the viral internet rumors just caused his brain to compress the timeline.
It perfectly illustrates why courts rely on physical evidence over human memory, especially memory exposed to social media.
Which brings us to the final piece. We have to look at how this vacuum of facts, and the reliance on a phantom video became weaponized for political spin.
Let's return to the commentary from the Brian Maxwell podcast.
And again, honoring our rule here.
Yeah.
We are analyzing the YouTube podcaster's commentary, strictly keeping our impartiality. We are not taking his side.
Right. Maxwell uses this case to attack what he calls race hustlers, grifters, and Democrats. He accuses them of pushing a false narrative to drive a wedge between black and white communities.
And to prove that narrative was manufactured, Maxwell leans on one very specific statistic from the trial.
Yes, he focuses on the demographics of the prosecution's witnesses. Of the teenage witnesses who took the stand and testified that Anthony was the aggressor, 4 of them were black.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The YouTuber argues this entirely dismantles the narrative of a racially motivated gang-up against Anthony. Because you have black students saying, no, he started this.
It's an incredible observation about how information vacuums act like massive magnets for political agendas. When the facts aren't out yet, people will just plug their own narratives into the gap.
Exactly. The Phantom video was a blank projector screen for everyone's politics.
So the key takeaway from all of our sources today is that this trial was a triumph of hard evidence.
Video surveillance and consistent eyewitness testimony beat viral, emotionally charged rumors spread by unreliable figures.
And that is a stark reminder for you listening. Pause before sharing or believing explosive claims online. Truth is usually found in the boring, meticulous details of a courtroom, not in viral, unverified videos.
The truth takes time. Algorithms don't.
Which leaves me with one final provocative thought for you to explore on your own. We just spent this entire deep dive analyzing the fallout of a phantom video that didn't even exist. There was no tape, just the rumor of a video sparked a national political firestorm.
It caused total chaos.
Right, but we live in an era where deepfakes and AI are getting incredibly realistic. If a complete rumor about a fake video could shatter the truth this badly today, how on earth will juries establish the truth tomorrow when fake videos actually do start surfacing in court?